Hello and welcome to this reaction video. This is a reaction video by the user Hakeem, who made a video reacting to a conservative person saying. Anyway, the point is the video I'm reacting to is called "Why This Zoomer Conservative Isn't Woke." She had to read. So let's dive into the video. Yeah, boom, let's go.
Hello. I'm yet again sick, one of the perks of working in a hospital, but I'm back with another reaction video. This time, we'll be visiting our conservative Zoomer friend again to see why she left the left, as it were. Be sure to check out the previous video on her to get a feel for what brand of discount politics she represents here.
This is,
Of course, don't go bothering anyone, this is more an analysis of what she...
Now, when it comes to this, for example, I am someone who is not currently making any money out of this, in any shape or fashion. I'm not... successfully selling merchandise. I don't have any sponsors, I don't have any ads, I'm not selling a course or anything like that, so I'm not currently making any money of this. Maybe in future, possibly, who knows, probably not, let's be honest. But the point is that I would say that means even if you are making a little bit of money, I would say, yeah, I would agree with this. But there's a small problem. See, once it becomes a career, then it's a bit of an issue. Because now we're no longer just saying, oh, this person is a bit of a not nice person. You don't like them. You're saying they're not a nice person and they're profiting off of being a not nice person. At that point, hate is a little bit expected and a little bit deserved because, they are profiting off of what they're saying. This isn't just someone saying their opinion or whatever, or, saying their incorrect statements and being factually incorrect. What I'm saying is, like, if someone believes that vaccines are connected to or something like that, that's obviously BS, right? And if you're just an idiot who believes that and says that on the internet, that's one thing. Like, I don't think anyone should, send you a death threat or something for that. But if you're the idiot doctor who was like, you know what would be good? If I made some money off of selling an alternative vaccine by demonizing this one. Indeed. So it causes this, there we are, and you're saying that. First of all, that is even more of an extreme, because in that case he doesn't even believe it. It's just, to make money. But even if you do believe it, you're still making money from it. So I feel at that time it's like, no, it kind of is deserved. Like, you're making money off it. You're not just saying your opinion or your incorrect fact. You're actually just... You're profiting off it. So, you kind of do deserve that. But not this one. Because I don't think they are making a ton of money off it. So.
She's saying rather than her as a person.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
I grew up calling myself a Democrat and pretty liberal, all that stuff. Because
you grew up calling yourself that?
Because all my friends were liberals, and I went to a liberal high school.
Okay, this is actually very funny. Because last I checked, in high school, for most high schoolers at least, maybe in the senior years, you can't vote. You don't have a right to vote because you're a little child. Now, whether you think that children should be allowed to vote or not, that's besides the question. The fact is, you are not able to. You're not allowed to. If you vote, you are breaking. Your vote isn't supposed to be counted. Whether it should be or not is not the issue here. What I'm saying is, how can you be a Democrat when you're not a voter? You can't really. If you became a conservative, or you are a conservative, but you said you weren't, how the fuck were you ever a Democrat there? It's like, yeah, man, I was a Democrat. I never actually voted for them because when I called myself that, I was 12 years old, but, Still.
So I just sort of identified with that. Didn't really agree with a lot of stuff.
That is not good. It is not good to just be like, yeah, well, most people thought that. So I sort of just agree with it. Like, what's that about?
Kind of kept quiet because I saw everyone else that were speaking their minds literally getting shunned by the rest of the
I want to know. I want to know right now. I want to know what the did they say to get shunned? Because I can tell you this right now. The only time when I was in school that I ever saw anyone ever get shunned for having a, a non-left-wing, progressive statement, was someone who was so homophobic they thought gay people didn't exist. That is the only person I have ever seen get shunned. And that person was not very well liked to begin with. So I'd say if that person was popular and they said that, no one would react. So I want to ask this person one simple question. What did they say? Because it's like, I remember, I was 12 and I always identified as a Democrat. And one time this kid he said the N-word towards this student of color, and all the other students were like, Timmy, why did you say that? That's an awful thing to say. And I remember I could never speak my mind after that. It's like, what exactly was it that got them shunned? Because kids generally are pretty right wing when it comes to their political opinions in a very vague way. What I'm saying is when it comes to when they shun other kids, it typically is very fascist when they do it like that. So the question I have is why are they shunned? What opinion did they show? Very interesting.
Okay, better not touch that, because I know, I can't really say what I actually think.
Okay.
Now she's coming from an American perspective about American educational systems.
So once again, you want a Democrat then?
No experience.
Sorry to interrupt you. You want a Democrat then? You're just saying you said you are. This is a very weird thing. Anyway, yeah, when it comes to American schools, I myself have not attended American school. I guess because I have invested in them a little bit, but that I obviously cannot say as much. They can obviously, yeah. But am I close? I don't know.
Experience with personally, so I'll comment on as an outsider looking in. Firstly,
True.
The Democrat/Republican division isn't real for most people. They're both parties that stand for capital.
Yeah, no, even that is being generous to them. The Democratic Party is a mostly right wing party. It has a few left wingers in there. It's going to attract the left wing of the bits, but it is a right wing party, right wing to centrist right. And the Republicans are obviously very right wing. So it isn't just they both love capitalism. Even a social democrat might love capitalism. It's not even like that. It's even more specifically, they're pretty similar, except that they're less racist, but still kind of racist. The Democrats are still racist though. Not all of them obviously, but as a party they still have some racist policies and have a racist history. So it's they're not, they're more progressive than the Republicans, but when the Republicans are actively seeking out to murder, people who don't want to give birth and, trans people, it's they don't want to murder you. They don't want to do a fascist genocide. It's great. Woo. Fantastic. It's loading.
Except one is seemingly more vocal about social issues without actually doing anything about it.
Yeah.
Everything that was supposed to be prevented by voting Democrats in basically still happened. Or Americans just got some light appeasement to dull emotions till it's time to basically do nothing again. Regardless, she makes two interesting points.
Yeah, I would say it's not so much that the Democrats will actually do anything, it's so much that they won't do what the Republicans will do, but the Republicans still have control over the individual states. So if you live in a state that's Republican, you're still fucked, because the Democrats aren't going to bother to do anything. To be fair to them, obviously they did have control, but now at least, at time of recording, they don't have control of the House, right? They control of the Senate kind of via Bernie, I believe it's Bernie Sanders, isn't it? So it's kind of, even still technically not. I believe there's two senators who are non-party affiliated, but I think they're both Democrat leaning. But you can't force them to. If they wanted to, they could technically vote the other way, I think, at least. And in that case, you'd have this thing where but that's going to be a problem. So to be fair to them on that side, but then you also to be against them, like, they did that for multiple years, and they won't do anything. Yeah.
One around her was liberal, so she was one as well. Secondly, everyone who spoke their mind basically became some sort of bearer of truth that deviated from orthodoxy. She's never clear in this video on what exactly those speaking their mind were saying.
Yeah.
But I think the usual assumptions are fair, mildly sexist, racist, or otherwise.
I really, really, really want to know, because it feels concerning to me, because as I said, I've only seen one person ever get pushed out. Ever. And it was for hard homophobia. That wasn't just saying a slur. That wasn't just treating people different. That was like actively, like, insane levels of it, And even then, it was still a little bit on the side of, like, they didn't like the person to begin with. So, I find it very hard to believe that they were shunned for anything that wasn't extreme.
Discriminatory points. Otherwise, it wouldn't be considered speaking their mind. Regardless, she doesn't seem to understand that, one, conservatives are by and large philosophical liberals too, especially by their unabating allegiance to capitalism, and two, that those same conservatives were also probably surrounded by just conservatives, hence also echoing their opinions. She's preaching to a conservative audience, so naturally she wants to appeal to them by presenting it as if what she, and by extension they, believe is common sense, while what anyone else believes is ridiculous. Her only real disagreement with American liberals, it seems, is on some social issues.
See,
otherwise they're in the same camp.
Ridiculous is a thing. Like, for example, if you're a wealthy billionaire, it makes sense to vote for a party, and this is what's funny in America. Like, in America, really, there's no real, like, drawback to being a billionaire and voting Democrat. They're not going to tax you, really. Maybe you'll get a bit scared and maybe, we'll say tax the rich, no. But they're not going to do that. The Democrats could have complete control. Every single seat filled with a Democrat. Every single seat. House, Senate, President, every single, civil servant, every single governor, every single mayor, every single sheriff, every single person in every facet of government could be a Democrat. It wouldn't matter. It would not be a state. It would not be a country that would tax the wealthy. It would not be a country that wouldn't give tax credits off to billionaires. It would not be a country that would decide to stop giving money to private industry to just profit off of the government for what fucking reason. It wouldn't stop doing all those things. It would continue to give all this money away to billionaires. And that's the thing. So as a billionaire, it really makes no sense to just vote for Republican unless you are, like, also a racist, and that's the thing I think he makes very well put there, which is like it is in this position here where you are, like you are saying, there's basically no difference between in America. And when it comes to what the other side is saying is ridiculous, is because, well, no, though, like if I'm a billionaire, I can vote Democrat. They're not saying things that are against me, really, Like, there isn't really much difference between them. It's not really the other side. They're saying ridiculous things. And I don't know why I keep repeating his point, but anyway.
But I think my journey started after I watched The Social Dilemma, which is an amazing documentary that I watched on Netflix. I don't know if it's on Netflix anymore, but either way,
I love the fact, right, that Americans have a remarkable ability of, like, tricking themselves into being, like, double standardish. Like, woke Hollywood, but also I saw this on Netflix. It's like, they produce content for you as well, and you've got to admit that. I don't think Hollywood is woke. I think Hollywood is money driven, Are some of the writers in there, are they progressive? Yeah, but the thing is, if you're a writer, you're not going to get a show made without producers, without executives looking at that and saying, looks like a good script. And maybe they might even say, how about we do this, a little bit of a change here. And those executives could be the most progressive people when it comes to politics, but at the end of the day, the money comes first. So even if that executive is not a racist, is not a homophobe, they might say, but, like, we need to take that's a little bit far. We can get the wokies, we can get them to support the film by just doing this. And that way we reduce the level of hate that we'll get from the little racist there. So money always comes first in Hollywood, and that's just the thing.
So amazing, and I want to talk a little bit about that. So this was around the 2020 election, I believe. It basically talked about how big tech companies such as Facebook and YouTube were advertising certain videos to certain people. So
if you didn't know, they were advertising. I myself was showing Trump videos. So I'm not a fucking American. How is that supposed to help in an election? I don't know. I also never said I liked Trump. I think Trump is better than some other candidates, but like that's not great, is it? Like, yes, you're not as fascist as others. Great. Basically, people would say if Trump is Mussolini, Ron DeSantis is like Hitler. You know, that sort of thing. There, those are the parables and things there, you know. Anyway, the point though is that the social network is actually making a little bit of a point which I feel like maybe they would not agree with if they actually read into it, you know.
Let's say that you are a very conservative person, you're going to keep getting very conservative YouTube videos, for example, because they sell your information to other companies, and then those companies will say, oh, this person wants to see X, Y, and Z, and actually, so they will promote that on your...
Technically speaking, I wouldn't say necessarily that Google are ones that necessarily are selling your information. There are other data brokers that will sell your information, but oftentimes, like for example, Google, if I want to advertise to you, I don't really have to. Like, I'm able to just advertise to conservative women who are interested in whatever the case may be, and that might pinpoint you if I know where you live. Roughly speaking, I'm able to pinpoint you, but I'm never going to get that information necessarily, you know? I'm able to advertise to all the conservative-styled women in Florida. But I don't get access to their contact details. I don't get access to all that, because, you know, there are ad services out there that are like, no, you don't get access to information, but we will still sell it to them. We will still send it to them, you know? We'll still send it to them. So we're not accessing the information, but... also, your ads will go out to very, very specifics, you know. So that's a bit.
Or page.
The Social Dilemma is a documentary about how current social media is a net negative for society as a result of its pursuit of profit by creating echo chambers, spreading misinformation, directly resulting in mental health disorders, etc., all in an effort to maintain engagement and engender addiction to these spaces. Interesting that she doesn't see how this could be a scathing critique of capitalism, but instead later twists towards social issues, again repeating the common patterns of liberals in all their stripes. They fundamentally are ignorant of, unable to, or simply refuse to criticize capitalism as the core issue, despite clear and direct links to what they're trying to criticize otherwise, which in this case was the social media manipulation for profit point.
I was getting a bunch of lefty, you know, woke type of content, but this creates...
But you didn't like it, so they misprofiled you, so, you know...
The illusion.
Actually, that's not necessarily true. You do get ads for content which is designed to infuriate you. So people say, oh, echo chambers. Not really true, actually. Oftentimes you're not given an echo chamber. You're given content, though, it's content which you explicitly are thought to not respond well to. Content which you're supposed to dislike. And because dislike actually drives engagement. Because instead of being like, oh, yes, people agree with me. Because if everyone agrees with you, if the world is perfect, why would you need to do anything? You can just sit back and no. But if someone disagrees with you, well, then you can go inside there and, you know, get angry. Look at what they're saying. Look at all these woke people. They're all saying that people shouldn't be killed for the colour of their skin. That's not going on. They're definitely not. No. American police officers being racist? Who ever heard of that? It's not like America is, you know, one of the big racist countries in the world.
That everyone around you thinks the same way as you do, which is not the case. And with my school and the people I associated with being very left-leaning, I thought that the right was just this small group of hillbilly bigots.
Well, you are a fucking moron then. It's like, yes! The right is a tiny group of hillbillies, except they are represented by the bigger party in the Republican Party, which is it has, you know, flip-flopped. Okay, so So how the fuck is that supposed to work? Like, yeah, the right, I presume, by that she means the far right, because, the right means Democrats as well, being the Republican Party. So, but the Republican Party are in office. Like, how stupid are you as a child to go? Like, they'll be like me saying, well, yeah, I mean, like, it's clear the right are tiny. It's Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael are the parties in power, though, you fucking moron. How brain dead can you be to be like, yeah, they're tiny, even though their party that they vote for is actively in government? Like, I just
Bigoted, racist people, because that's what they made them seem like.
This point is...
Sorry for the interruption from the advertisements. This feels like a scam. Or, one of those products where it's like, yes, you can learn how to play piano in 10 days. I don't know. Maybe it's not that.
This point is important. Again, identifying with the opinions of your social group is common even in conservative circles, but you understand why she's doing this. More importantly, the idea that conservatives are hillbillies who don't understand how the world works is a common liberal prejudice that socialists do not share. The ruling class regularly uses these secondary social issues to drive divisions between people. That doesn't excuse bigotry, which liberals have plenty of, don't worry.
Yeah, also, it's a bit weird feeling. Because, you're not saying... You're basically saying, oh, there is hillbillies as well. Yeah, it is them as well. It's just other people as well. I thought it was just... It's like using because that is like using an offensive term always to be like, no, but it's not just them guys. It's not just those ignorant poors. It's us too. My God.
It's good to remember that there are material conditions behind so-called hillbilly perspectives, if you want to even call them that. They're taking our jobs is usually racist, yeah, but also reflects the horrific employment and job insecurity situation within the U.S. They're all welfare queens. By the way, reflects anxiety over social spending,
interesting
combined with ignorance over, for example.
When it comes to American job markets, the biggest loss of jobs has been to automation. So, yeah, maybe, here's a little thought. The thing is, right, when someone else takes your job, I mean, sure, like, they need a job as well, you selfish moron. But also, to be fair, you don't have a job. However, when a robot does it, they don't need all that money. So you should be asking the question, where did all that money go? Cause you didn't get it, did you? You don't get a check from the car manufacturing plant saying, we know you no longer work here, but we replaced your job with a robot, and I mean it's much cheaper, so we're just gonna give you the excess because you're like, we used to be paying you this much, and now you're just sharing your paycheck with a robot, and that is a thing you do. It's called job sharing. You have two people who share one paycheck, they share one job, and they do the time, and obviously they get they have to split the pay, So why is that not the case with the robot? Why do we not have a case where it's like, yeah, well, this robot did replace your job, but here's the money because it's cheaper than you. Where did the money go? So it's just the thing that they're taking our jobs is mostly robots.
Surplus value extraction, tax cuts for the wealthiest, and a bloated military budget results in racism, as it's easier to point at the out-group, for example, black people as a white person, rather than the in-group, white people, who in total receive more welfare than minority groups. In general, this is a result of not focusing on the prime contradiction, which is class struggle, and the shared interest between workers. That's not to say there's no intersection of gender or race or class, etc., but the nuance of this requires education, and when many politicians even claim the US is a classless society, there's still plenty of work required. If you'd like a primer on the intersectionality point, check out episode 42 of the Deprogram podcast to hear.
I shared a post. It was basically a short clip of the documentary where the guy was talking about how it's really upsetting that friendships are being torn apart just because of political views. And that really hit home for me because I was having...
One small thing. Sorry to interrupt, but once again, question is, what political views? It's like, yeah, man, I mean, I remember my friend, we used to be good friends, really, and then I remembered all they did, he used to use the F slur a lot, like, just randomly, even to people who weren't gay. It was weird. And, well, I couldn't really be friends with him. Like, yeah, I feel like that's fair, actually. They're a homophobe. It's not really a political opinion as much as it's just being a fascist. Just you being a hard phone for, like, we can see what you are. Like, that's your political opinion. You are a far right person. That's not just, oh, you're a little bit right wing for me. It's, you actually want to murder people I kind of don't want you to murder. You won't say murder, of course. You just don't realize that that's what's going to happen.
I wasn't agreeing with a lot of what my friends were saying. This was during BLM and, the Biden and Trump election. So a lot of the things that my friends were saying, I wasn't in agreement with, and I felt very pressured to either keep silent or agree. So I posted this because in general, I thought it was really sad that a lot of friendships were being broken just because of a disagreement in political views, which I always thought was silly, because why can't we live in harmony and still be friends?
What the fuck? You're literally like, yeah, man, I joined the Republican Party, the party that wants to, eradicate transgender, which is, a statement. That's not living in harmony, you fucking moron. Do you understand that? Like, it's not living in harmony to say, oh, no, you don't get to, live because you are being replaced by a robot, and we're not going to pay you the money because we don't want to. So there you are. Yeah. So there we are now. You can die now. Oh, yeah? You want to have access to healthcare? No, you're not allowed. That's real harmony. I'm really seeing the harmony there, When you have a billionaire who goes on a broadcast. By the way, one interesting thing, Elon Musk? He goes on a broadcast with NBC. The NBC have just lost their advertising head to his company. I feel like that might be a bit of a close connection. And in that interview, he goes, oh, it's immoral to be away from home, away from the workplace. You think you deserve to be at home while everyone else has to come into the workplace? Not realizing, buddy, you're a fucking billionaire, boy. You're a billionaire. How exactly can you make the argument that it is not okay for someone that they can be at home while everyone else is coming into work when you are actively a billionaire? What I'm trying to say is, that's not living in harmony. We have billionaires that's not living in harmony. They exist, ultimately. So what the fuck is this? Very weird attitude. Very, very weird attitude. It's profoundly weird. It's kind of like, because it's not, you know what I mean? Well, as I said, it's, if you're a rich person, you vote for someone who's conservative. That makes sense, right? This is just being a bit brain dead.
Now here's where I have to disagree a little bit. Yes, you shouldn't tear families apart because of Biden versus Trump, but likewise, some people do genuinely hold dangerous opinions that can simply be their perspective to them, but hold real consequences for other groups of people. A perfect example are those in favor of mass deportation. Sure, a white American could say this, and it's a cute opinion that has no effect on their lives, but for many people within the US currently, the consequences of these opinions can ruin lives, destroy livelihoods, and even result in death. Likewise with increased policing in so-called urban neighborhoods. Likewise for many other similar opinions. Live and let live only works when your life and livelihood wouldn't be at stake because of your friend's opinion.
Which makes it weird to have the opinion like, why waste the money? If increasing the police is not going to have an effect on your life, then why waste the money? Why hire more police? Because unless it does, but maybe that's because you get something out of it. It's a bit weird, isn't it?
Really good to be friends with someone that has a different perspective and a different view on life in general. Because
what level of a different view, What level of different view? What do you mean by different view? Completely different view? That depends. It's like I think that people of color should be treated equally. I'm their friend, and I don't think that. I don't think that at all. Okay, wow, that's it's interesting. Your friend's perspective there. They think they shouldn't be treated the same. Okay, that's whew, wow.
With the same people who have the same exact view as you, it doesn't really promote thinking or questioning anything.
I wonder, does she practice what she preaches?
Yeah, I doubt it.
So after I posted this, I wasn't really expecting anything. I just posted it because I thought it was...
Well, you know, I guess that is though that there's the problem with like just like anyway. Yeah, I'm like
very true and resonated with me. But I was surprised. I got 3 or 4 of my friends text messaging me saying, why would you post that? Are you a Trump supporter now? Like, what's going on? Basically, they were ready to attack me. They were proving my point that...
No. They were a little bit concerned that out of the blue, you randomly, because you said you were pretending to be liberal all this time. Imagine what would happen if you were, like, if you were friends with someone and they appeared to have an opinion on something, like they appeared to have, like, let's say, okay, to put this in perspective, let's say that white women, or no, I would say white people in particular, because even some white women are weirdly, you know, they're anti-feminists, which is fucking stupid. But anyway, so let's say white people shouldn't be discriminated against, right? So let's say you have that opinion, right? And the next thing your friends come out and says, no, white people should be fucking executed at dawn. And that would be a shock, wouldn't it? That would be a little shock for you. A little wee shock there now, you know? You'd be a bit shocked, wouldn't you? Because wow, this friend is actually, they that's the best, are they? You know, so that's it's the shock factor of like, are you Trump or not? Because that's the thing. Because you've just said that this was your breakout. This was your your release of all that inner conservatism.
I can't really post or say anything without people getting defensive or offended, and it really made me miss the days when we could all say, "Oh, let's agree to disagree."
The days. Once again, though, some things are, opinions, yes. But those opinions have facts attached to them. Like, if you think some people deserve to die, they'll die. You're asking for them to be murdered. If you support the death penalty, you're asking for the state to murder people. That's what you're asking for. Now, whether you think that's good or bad, you have to be honest about the actual implications of what you're saying. Now, you might say, oh, well, this thing might happen. And that's when we can get into opinion. Well, yes, that might have happened before, but we could do this thing, we can avoid it, But there are certain things which just will happen by virtue of the fact that this is the end result of what you're asking for, So that's not an opinion. That's not, agree to disagree. That's fact of what the endpoint will be.
Firstly, I don't believe her story. Maybe it did happen, but it just sounds a little silly. Regardless, some adolescent friends giving you pushback on this or that opinion isn't being cancelled, and high school or uni isn't real life for the most part. Secondly, again on the agree to disagree part, there was a time in your country not too long ago where being a black man with a white woman could get you lynched. This is one insufferable thing about liberals and all their stripes. Playing devil's advocate, saying it how it is, etc. always comes from people with no personal stake in the opinion they're giving. Meanwhile, actual flesh and blood people can face dire consequences if these perspectives are popularized or acted on. Back to the video in just a second. Let's hear from today's sponsor, Atlas VPN. For a lot of research
okay, I don't agree with this sponsorship, but anyway.
That I do for my videos, I end up hitting pages that aren't available in my location. That's frustrating, as you can imagine. Geo-restriction really does suck, but not with Atlas VPN. For those unaware, a virtual private network makes...
What's interesting is, a lot of these VPN services are, they're known, like, to the government. So, when the government does let you have those VPNs, I wouldn't be surprised if they might be, tracking. See, oftentimes geo restrictions are actually come from the perspective of somebody else, saying not your government saying you can't access this, but somebody else saying no, you can't, in that country can't access it. For example, I once to protest the war in Ukraine said I'm not gonna. I published a book and said you can't buy this in Russia, like that. Now, obviously, very simple thing. You just change your location, boom, you can buy the book, right? And that's the thing there. That was the other thing you could do there, and that's one small thing, which is the issue with these things, which is most governments are fully aware of VPNs, and not obviously the indie ones. It's hard to do, but like for these big ones. By the way, this is owned by a massive conglomerate. They own NordVPN and Surfshark VPN, Atlas VPN, and NordVPN are all owned by the same company. And the point is, obviously, it would make sense if you're a government to just pull all of their servers and go, boom, 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 okay, we're going to block all them. Boom. It would make sense. So if they don't do that, that's either because the thing you're getting blocked for isn't your country blocking it, it's somebody else, or else, maybe your state has a little deal going on with them to, give it information.
Makes all of your internet traffic travel through an encrypted tunnel. This way, it protects you from spying, public Wi-Fi dangers, and hides your IP address and your...
See, the problem is, when someone says government, okay, right, if you're in China or something like that, if you're in, India, maybe, Belarus, all these things, maybe even Italy, you're that's kind of valid. Like, your government is a kind of a semi sort of very hard right government, right? And that makes sense. Like you could be persecuted for things which are not. One of the things you could be persecuted for things that are like you being gay. If you don't outwardly say it, but you it's known from your search history and that sort of stuff. Obviously, yeah, that makes sense. But if you're from other countries, governments are kind of okay with all that. So why are ya hiding? Because I can guarantee you this, VPN services most definitely probably selling your information. Or at least giving access to it. Because it would make sense,
your online activities. It even
the government can demand
location for all your research needs. Developed by top cybersecurity specialists and IT engineers in 2019, Atlas VPN was created to make the internet accessible and secure for everybody. Currently, it has more than 6 million users worldwide, and boasts the best VPN deal on the market, with the most affordable online
Not true. Not true. Just not true.
Plan for just under $2 per month.
That is just not. That is objectively not true. Just not true.
So, what are you waiting for? Go down to the description and click that link and use my code Hakeem to get a 3-year subscription for just $183 a month with 3 months free. But that's not all. You get...
I love the use of $183 to make it seem like it's a good deal. But you're paying to access an internet box in another country for £1.83 a month. You also have to have an internet connection to begin with. So, yeah. Don't agree with VPNs, but anyway.
Get blazing fast speeds for streaming or gaming, unlimited protection for all your devices,
an inbuilt
ad and malware blocker, and you'll get to save some extra cash as Atlas VPN will find you the best deal online from everything from your online subscriptions to airlines, hotels, and more. Right now, Atlas VPN is running a huge discount. It means you can get a 3-year subscription for just $183
one small
a month.
Critique. This is actually nothing to do with
money back.
But anyway, it's funny. Honey are definitely taking information and using it. Definitely. You know how? Because I'm pretty sure they got bought out by PayPal. So I wonder what PayPal is using that for. PayPal, the company known for, being bad at payment things. I wouldn't use PayPal, is what I'm saying. I wouldn't use PayPal at all. They're not good. And don't use Honey either. Now, at least.
Time is running out, so get your deal by clicking the link in the video description below. Massive thanks to Atlas VPN for the sponsorship. This is what allows me to pay my editor fairly, so the support is highly appreciated. Alright, back to the video.
But now that does not exist. If you disagree, you have to be cancelled and shunned. There's no freedom.
clearly misunderstanding of cancelled because I'm watching your video. Hakeem watched your video. So clearly, you weren't cancelled. If anybody at all is watching, following you, then you weren't cancelled. Because that's not how cancelled works. The cancellation refers to the only thing people know you for. It's a bad thing. In their eyes, at least. So they don't like you. No. Get away. Now, obviously, can you be cancelled for things which are, false? They didn't happen? Sure. Can you be cancelled for things that you shouldn't really be persecuted for your sexuality, for example? Yes. But the thing is, most people aren't being cancelled. They just got a little bit of hate online. I've got people who don't like me in the comment section. I'm sure I would get a few here. If this video gets, like 1,000 views, it'll probably have a few comments in there. It won't get 1,000 views, but you know what I mean? Anyway.
Freedom of speech anymore.
This is her just preaching.
You are actively making a video. Clearly, you do freedom of speech.
Cancel culture doesn't exist. Every comedian that's complained about it does so on their heavily sponsored Netflix comedy special. Those cancelled actors still act. Those cancelled politicians.
I mean, yeah, I like beer.
I've actually been a customer of BetterHelp for a little.
Oh, by the way, don't get BetterHelp. They're awful company. Just pure awful. This is turning into like a one of those sponsor watch videos. Oh my. But yeah, don't get BetterHelp. They're a bad company, and they're not good, guys. They're not the best. Anyway, so yeah, when it comes to cancellation, basically, as Kim said, it is kind of nonsense. I would say general members of the population, can they be cancelled? Yes. Now that's just because, well, if general members of the population. Now I would say not as much now in America, because if you were literally a murderer, if you murdered someone, let's say you murdered someone on the train, you actually just choked someone to death, you murder them. Okay, there's we can say you definitely right. They would support you. Online would support you. And we know that because that did happen, and they were supported, and lots and lots of money was donated to their campaign fund to have a nice defense fund for themselves. Now the thing is, they murdered a man. That's just a straight up fact. They spent about 2 minutes, watching the man, and then in those 2 minutes, choked him to death. Afterwards, it was like a 2 minute period, and then they choked him for a long time, So yeah, that's your cancel culture, guys. That's your cancel culture. Indeed.
I was able to get matched up with a therapist.
Okay.
24
Back
hours.
to the video. It takes a while, doesn't it, to for these videos to load. Funny thing. Funny as in odd, not funny as in comedic.
Those cancelled politicians are still in politics and still sitting in the same seats they were in before, mostly. Many times, being cancelled has bolstered people's careers in the public eye, too. No one has fundamentally had their free speech limited aside from a few mean retweets on Twitter. Likewise, facing consequences for what you say and do is not a free speech violation.
Yeah.
And then my classes start, and there were trigger warnings on every piece of literature. If you had this in your past,
yeah, there might be a reason for that, if I said, for example, you self-entitled fucking moron. Imagine, if you will, that your child has been ruthlessly stabbed multiple times by someone. This person broke into your home, they ripped your child's hair, and they cut their throat in front of you. That would be a pretty traumatic incident. But let's say you're getting over it, it's been 20 years, and then you read a book, and in the book, someone comes into someone's home and brutally slices the throat of the child, and they describe it in vivid detail. That's gonna reopen some old wounds, isn't it? You self-entitled fucking moron. So just because, guess what? Oh, maybe you don't have any trauma in your history, doesn't mean other people don't. So maybe think about that, you fucking moron. Anyway, it's just a very weird thing to say. Like, there was trigger warnings on everything. I mean, I've never had my ancestors get lynched for the color of their skin. So why am I getting...
If you experience that, you can leave the class. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. Literally raising toddlers, like, you have to be coddled and protected from everything in the world. That's not...
No, but the thing is, what we've discovered is giving people trauma isn't really great to their performance in a test. Imagine that. Imagine if someone has trauma. It tends to affect their performance. It's shocking, I know, but the scientists say it's true. So, I mean, I know it's hard to think about. Like, really having trauma might affect that, so maybe we'd best avoid the trauma. Shocker, isn't it? Like, what the fuck?
That's not how the world works.
This is alien to my experience, and I've personally never seen this in any educational institution I've visited, but maybe this really is the case for the US.
No, I mean, like, it is the case in some cases, but mostly it is for explicit, like, we're talking about, like, very, very explicit, like, we are going to report every single fine detail about this horrible incident. And that can be traumatic. Because if you've experienced that, yeah.
The current research seems to indicate that trigger warnings actually aren't very helpful for trauma survivors, and I'm on the side of empirical evidence when it comes
No, it's not necessarily that they aren't helpful. It's that if you have a trigger warning, you're saying that, okay, maybe take care. Not like, obviously, it's a bit like saying, not stabbing people is not really helpful. Yeah, it's in the sense that it's not helping, but it's not hurting, if you know what I mean.
To mental health and its experiences. Though honestly, is it really that big of a deal that there was a trigger warning on some book? Do you need trigger warnings for trigger warnings, maybe? Honestly, just look past it. Who cares?
Yeah.
By the way, about the woke university thing, literally every single step of my and my peers' education was absolutely steeped in anti-communism, even in medicine.
Yeah.
Anecdotal evidence isn't great, sure, but I'm always surprised to hear that my professors were commie stuff.
Within that same week, I was asked to then write a paper about how I was privileged being white, but also marginalized being a woman.
What subject did you study? I want to know, because, like, what subject did you study? Because, like, I mean, maybe that would be a bit weird if you were, like, studying, I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, but, like, certain subjects that would make very, very, very much sense, like history.
Woman. So this was some intersectionality paper that we had to write, and there was no room for debate because I was thinking...
Because that's how papers fucking work, okay? I did the subject minorly. It wasn't like a subject or anything. It was just the activity, and you had to be on the side. I remember I had to make a conversation for Donald Trump being like a non-liar. How the fuck do you do that? How do you make a debate where you're like, yes, and Donald Trump is he hasn't lied about okay, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? I'm not a Donald Trump supporter, but I was given that. That's how subjects work. Okay, some subjects, right? They'll say, okay, give an argument and then give a counter argument, right? I've done those subjects as well. So trust me on this one. But I've also done subjects where like, no, there's no agreement, there's no disagreement. You say this, you argue this, and that's it. That's how it works.
Wait, but I don't think that I'm privileged in this way or that I'm marginalized in this way.
Yes, but if somebody else was given a thing where they were like, white people are, not privileged at all. No, not a chance. No, please. They never did anything racist. No, nothing in the history of America has benefited white people. No. Like, how would that be easy to argue? I would find that very hard to argue. Like, what? Like, you can't just say, oh, look, this thing is hard for me to argue. Yeah, that's the point. They're asking you to write a paper where, no, it's not always the point. But the idea is like, yes, argue something which you don't agree with. You have to research these things. You have to give evidence. And there you go. Give your best argument something you don't even believe in. Because if the argument is weak, well, then, that's seen as well. Either the thing itself is weak or else you're not good at arguing.
I think I don't really identify with that. There's no room for discussion.
Yeah, there is no fucking room for discussion. That's how education works. Like, it's like fundamentalist understanding how education works. I love this because I've experienced this, like this kind of thing, and I myself was like, how do I do this? But that's how it works. That's how it works. That's how debating works. In a debate, you can't just go, oh, I've decided to switch sides. It's like, should we learn foreign languages in schools? Or should they be simply an outside thing that you learn outside of schools? On the opposition side, opposing it, we have Jimmy. Well, I think that we really should. No, but that's not the task. Well, you see, I don't believe in that. But that's not the task. That you weren't you were given that side though. But I don't. But that's the point of the debate, is to see if you can argue it. That's the point. You did do a good job then. You didn't do a good job then. You're just bad at it then. Like,
you're given this narrative and you have to write about how this applies to your life, even if you disagree.
Do you really have the intellectual depth of a puddle? Has being a woman literally never disadvantaged you in your life? Can you genuinely claim with a straight face that being white in a majority white society has ever once helped you out, even a little bit? She seems to think unless you get shot for the first or have people throwing money on you in the second, then these categories simply don't exist. I'm doubtful that there was no room for discussion. Most likely, the teacher needed something handed into grade, and writing 2 sentences of uninspired nonsense about not being privileged or marginalized didn't meet that requirement.
They teach you that if you're white, you're racist. You may not know it yet, but you're racist. And again, I did not agree with...
No, it's more that you are a racist. No, it's specifically that you are specifically. That's the issue, that you are. It's that thing there. It's that it's not that because you're white. It's just that you happen to be white and you happen to be a racist. And it's because most likely that you're white that you're racist. Because if you are a person of color, you probably wouldn't be as much of a racist, because you would go, wait, no, that's bullshit though. Yeah, that doesn't work. That doesn't work as the thing. That just doesn't work. That's another thing. So
with that, but I wasn't given a choice to debate. It's like they're forcing you to make stuff up. Words in articles that we were reading were being censored because they were offensive, and we weren't really learning things. Would you like to read the N-word? Would you like that? Would you like that to be spelled out for you so you could read it and not N star. Okay, you'd like that, would you? That's something kind of about you, isn't it, though? It's kind of weird about you. It's like they were being censored. They couldn't say the N-word in them. And they couldn't. I have to see. I'm being a bit unjust right here. Okay, she didn't say the N-word, so, But what I'm trying to say is, if you see, an article on, homosexuality, and it's like F stars, you can't be like, I want to say the word. It's just weird. If you're just like, yeah, but the word is there. You know what they're saying. It's not like they're hiding it from you. They're just being like, yeah, but we're not going to actually write the word. Which is fair. We're just talking about how it impacted us and our feelings and how it made us feel and how we were feeling. What about facts?
Yeah, but see, okay. humans are not very good at actually getting facts. Oftentimes, they focus, for example, are you religious? Are you religious? Because as far as I can tell, all the facts point to, they're not being a god. But of course, you can make the argument of, well, it's not being completely disproven, it's not completely disproven. So, maybe there is God. But, here's the thing. It's your feelings when you believe wholeheartedly that there is one. That's your feelings. So what about the facts there? Are you,
like for real, what about 1 + 1 = 2? What about actual facts?
Yeah, but see, facts are sometimes feelings. The fact is, if I say, oh, doctor, I have a pain in my right side, and they're like, well, I haven't checked, but from my examination with my eyes, you're fine. But doctor, I feel like I feel like I have like a burning pain in my side. Well, I think there's nothing wrong, because I've looked with my, but could you give it a little bit of a look in there, like a little bit of a look, because I feel a pain in my fucking side. Okay, that might be a burst appendix. It might just be a bruise. Maybe you just fell or something, or maybe you just have a sore throat or something, or like a sore stomach. I don't know. If a stomach ache, that's the thing. There are a myriad of different things that might be wrong, but the fact is that person feels pain. Do you understand? The fact is they feel. Do you comprehend how facts can be feelings, or feelings can be facts? Because, they're relevant, is what I'm saying.
Why aren't we learning that? Why do I have to sit through a 60-minute class talking about how this article made me feel inside, or how I'm discriminated against as a woman, or how I'm privileged for being white? I mean, I came here to learn.
I'm sure this is hyperbole.
Well, you are a fucking moron if you don't think you're privileged for being white. In America. I should clarify. In America. Other countries,
Deny that you have them is to lie, or do the same virtue signaling BS that liberals you hate love to do. There's nothing wrong in recognizing this fact. All the research proves it already. In fact, recognizing it is the first step in actually standing for the facts that you claim to do. Furthermore, why is she so against listening to other perspectives despite claiming to want more of that? Cool, you don't think you're, for example, privileged for being white. Why not listen and see the other argument? Because again, the empirical research is very clear that being darker means worse treatment in society, worse treatment in healthcare, fewer opportunities in the job market, amongst many other biases starting even in childhood. Refusing to engage with these facts and recognize that on some level you have at least a slight leg up because of your skin tone is simply a refusal to engage with the facts, something you're blasting liberals on. You seemingly just wanted a different kind of safe space.
You might be able to say this, right? If you live in a community in the middle of nowhere, that's in America, but isn't influenced by American culture. But if you're living in the cities or the suburbs or the urban areas, or basically anywhere that has any people in it, and even the majority of gated communities, they will be racist to they'll be very, very slight, very, 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 very slight to immense. So, unless you're living there and you're not, that's the only circumstance when you could say that, so it's not really, it's just, look at it,
Tailored to your opinions and perspectives, which, fair enough, I guess, but just be transparent about it next time. About the censoring articles thing, again, I'll have to see what she means exactly, because I've never come across anything like this in academic spaces personally.
I had a math class, okay, my calculus class once.
Yeah, well, I mean, the only instance I've ever seen academic, and sometimes it just means the news, is using stars in the place to replace letters for slurs. Yeah. And then, obviously, redacted information that are military secrets, and it's I want to see the secrets. It's that's not, no, actually, that's the military are not actually saying, no, this is too sensitive for you. They're saying it's too sensitive information, as in they don't want other people reading it. Whether you think that should be read or not, they think they don't want other people reading it. So it's like, they're all woke. They said it was sensitive information. Yeah, it's the other kind of sensitive. Talking
about how the government should do more to help protect those less fortunate. I'm just sitting in the...
No, fuck the poorest. No, I want all the rich people to get all the government money. No, we shouldn't have that. Not at all. I wonder what would happen though if you lost like your platform, all your money, just everything, and just like landed up on the streets. Nothing. But interesting. Would you hold that view for long, or would you give up quickly?
In this math class thinking, oh my god, I literally came here to do calculus. What is this? I had a psychology class where we were watching a video about how racism...
Wait, what? Sorry.
Calculus. What is this? I had a psychology class where we were watching...
Psychology class is definitely relevant.
A video about how race isn't real, but then also how race is really important.
Race and racism. You see, the thing is, people, realistically, actually, the thing is, race isn't real because human beings are actually one race. We aren't a subdivision of us, really, because, well, it's kind of sad. All the other people died, you know? They just died out. So it's kind of interesting because, like, the supremacists who, like, are like, oh, we are the best. It's like, well, maybe you are the best. The only problem is you're ignoring a bunch of other humans. Human beings are one race. Whether you think human beings are the best or not, maybe they are. The fact is, we're all one group. When you start subdividing into subgroups, you're basically just being like, yes, you look different. And you will survive longer in the sun. You'll be less likely to get contract skin cancer, which makes you worse. I think that makes white people less efficient, you know, less good, like, you know, that they're like a lower stock of human in a way. If we want to make an argument for anyone being less, so I think the white people who are, you know, the most likely to get contact skin cancer will be the ones who'd be the worst. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is race isn't real, but racism is the word we use for ethnicity. You know, groups that you don't like, you know. So clear stupidity. Can I just ask, you clearly learned nothing from university or high school or middle school or even like elementary, because this is fucking basic. Like, this is basic stuff. Race as a thing is not real, but there is a secondary name, which is bad in my opinion, but it is the word we use for it's called race. That's used for ethnicity. And the colour of skin, this means your nation of origin, all these other things, right? And that's the thing. So
it wasn't making any sense, and then we were talking about critical race theory.
Seriously, this woman is actually a fucking moron, like an actual idiot. It's amazing, because, like, I can understand if you're a fascist, right? You are a white person, you know, you will benefit from fascism. You are, you know, someone who will definitely benefit from this scenario, right? So it makes sense that you will support this. I don't really like you, and I don't think that you deserve anything. But, you know, that's your opinion, that's your belief, that's your whatever, and that benefits you, right? Now, obviously, do you tell a few lies to get to the fascism? Maybe you do, but you don't believe them. Because if you believe them, you actually are just a fucking moron, you know? You actually are just a fucking idiot. This one is a fucking idiot. Because unless she's just lying, it's kind of an idiot. Like, I couldn't understand that there could be two things, two different definitions for one word. You know, I remember when I was in school and someone said the the three twos. I was like, what? There can be three words that sound the same. It's like.
She's all over the map. At first, she's like, I want people to be able to debate in a civil manner. Then she disagrees with the timing or place of it, even if it may have been tangentially relevant. Seems like she wants everything on her own terms, something she keeps accusing the other side of. The race isn't real but is important bit is more of her arrogance and thinking she knows all, meanwhile having the intellectual depth of a clogged sink. Race is a social construct, not an empirical fact, but the consequences of being perceived or considered as a member of this or that race are important because it directly affects you and your life. I made several race videos you can check out if you're interested here. So far, it just seems like she disliked things she didn't understand, and that made her uncomfortable.
The true left quickly expose themselves to me as people who judge
others. That's awful. That's awful for you. And sure, if people are exposing themselves to you, that you should call the police. That is illegal in most places to expose yourself to someone. Highly illegal, and decent exposure laws are in place, and they will give you even a couple of years in prison.
Based on these categorizations.
Because it's a form of sexual harassment.
They made for them. So if you're white, you're bad. On these categorizations they made for them. So
it seems like she's going off into a tangent. Not a tangent. Sorry, something completely different now.
If you're white, you're bad. Or if you're a woman, you're good.
No, clearly not. Clearly, if you're a woman, you're not just good. Evidence here.
Instead of actually looking at someone's personality, their character.
Yes, your personality. You're a prick.
None of that matters anymore. It's just these attributes.
No, don't you worry. Don't you worry. No, don't you worry. It does matter. You're a prick.
How much money do you have? Are you a male or a female? Or neither? Extra brownie points. Are you
God.
black? Are you white? No one cared what kind of person you were, what you knew. It was all about how you identify.
Yeah.
I find this highly concerning.
Yes, because conservatives have never done that, right? Come on, let's not be silly. First of all, campus liberals aren't the true left. Maoist guerrillas in the Philippines, the Chinese or Cuban or Vietnamese communist parties currently in power, those are the true left. As it currently stands, there's barely a left within the US. Read up on the concept of the Overton window. The attributes thing is more of her not understanding basic sociology. People are more than if they're kind to their dog. I'm sure there are plenty of Israeli settlers that are good fathers to their kids. That doesn't change the fact that they're a cog in a highly oppressive and murderous system in Palestine. No one seriously says white equals bad, genuinely. I've been in this sphere for a decade now and have never seen that.
And, when people say white equals, they're not saying, no one says white equals bad. But they might say something like, well, if you're a white person, you should probably not just go about the place being like, I'm not a cog. The point is, when you're saying, I'm not a cog in the wheel, you're now saying, you're no longer just living life. You're actively being like, no, I'm denying the fact that I'm a cog in the wheel. Am I a cog in the wheel? Yes. Is Hakeem a cog in the wheel? Yes. Now, are there ways that you can fight being a cog? Maybe try and range yourself out a bit, swing from side to side. Oh, maybe the cog, maybe I'll be able to fall out and the machine will break. Or maybe I'll just die. Wait, no, that'll just be death. Okay, let's draw back in. Let's go back a little back into the cog, a little back into the machine. Okay, machine is kind of turning a little bit better now, but but still I'm able to survive. Okay, maybe I can jolt it forward, but okay, that sort of thing. So you take a little sponsorship here and there. Boom. Okay, so you're negatively affecting the world. You're causing poverty to increase. Okay, you're causing wealth disparity to increase. You're causing people to plunge further death. Okay, so now that's the way. Okay, there we are. But also you're actually fighting it. That sort of thing. You're trying to fight it. But if you're saying I'm not a cog in the wheel, you make that worse. You make the cog. You're the cog that's now making the machine worse. Because now you're beginning to just ignore your presence.
Outside of fringe groups on the margins, or just in jokes. Class is important. Race is also important. Your gender and gender expression can inform many things about how you view the world, as well as how the world treats you. Come on, this stuff isn't difficult to grasp, man. No one cares what kind of person you are is a silly point, but it should be clear that society is more than just you, and when you deal with large social movements, you sorting the trash on time or other arbitrary measures of being a good person aren't exactly the most important factors.
I heard countless students present on why they identify as communists and socialists.
Based.
I went home and I thought, I was starting to reflect, what did I learn today? All I really learned was that white people are evil racists.
No, maybe you learned that you are. That's the interesting thing of like, people are like, yeah, no, it's not just me. They're saying all white people. No. They're just saying you. It's like, do you ever call, people of color the N-word in private? Like, not to the face, but like in private. Well, yes, I always do that, but like, it's not to their face. It wouldn't hurt them or anything. No, but that's still racist. All white people are racist? No, but all white people don't say the N-word, about people of colour in the background. It's the thing. I'm giving an example here. I'm not saying that she does that. What I'm saying is that's an example of someone who might be like, well, but that's not what other people do. Anyway, fuck it.
And that was the whole debate That was the whole discussion in one of my philosophy classes, I think. And I was not...
Yeah, that's a part of philosophy. Like, how is that? Like, that's not relevant. It's only a part of philosophy.
Learning. I was literally just...
But that's a part of philosophy. You fucking moron. Like, that's a part. Maybe you should have been listening.
Just being indoctrinated and just brainwashed into this nonsense.
When you learn about Nazism in history, when I learned about that, I didn't go home and go, I didn't fucking learn anything today. I just learned that. I'm not going to say that. But, actually, you don't just go, I was being indoctrinated into being a Nazi. No, you aren't. You were learning about it. In philosophy, you learn about philosophy. That's how education works. Now, maybe they didn't do it in the best way, but you are supposed to learn about different philosophic things. That's that wrong word, but you know what I mean. And yeah.
So something didn't align with your ideological presuppositions, and you decide to, instead of listen and develop some understanding either for or against, you just left. Some intellectual fortitude you have. By the way, I'm incredibly doubtful that the point of the lesson was whites are evil and racist. That's most probably just your interpretation of the slightest discussion on whiteness, colonialism, race relations in the US, or any other related topic. Pathetic, honestly.
It was just getting so annoying because every class was political without exception. Politics should not be in the classroom.
Is that if someone says, white people did this, and you deny it, you say, no, then you're beginning to become that racist. But that's not because you're white. It's just that because you're white, you're more likely to reject hearing bad things about your ancestors. It's also funny how, like fascists, will like pull the whole thing of like, well, they were a product of their time. If you didn't know, Christopher Columbus was arrested and imprisoned because he was a fucking genocidal maniac, basically. Like to chop people's limbs off and stuff like that for kicks, really. That sort of thing. So, he's not a nice man. And he, served his time for not being a nice man in a jail. And that's sort of the point, though, is that even the Spanish at the time were like, no, we're not doing that, buddy. We're not letting you do that. No. Now, obviously, the Spanish go on to do horrific things. Yes. But the point is, sometimes you can't even use they were a product of their time, except in their time they were also arrested. So,
A classroom should be a place where you're learning essential knowledge like math, science, history.
You took philosophy, sociology, and you just listed off.
Why do I have to be...
It's like, they don't take those subjects. It's very weird, like, you should be learning all these things, not these other things that I learned. Okay, so then don't don't go to those classes to begin with. If you don't value those subjects, why would you do them? It's like, like just
knowledge, like math, science, history.
Oh, science, interesting. I wonder if maybe this person might be a science denier. I have a feeling like they might be.
Why do I have to be taught politics in math? Why do I have to go into a science class and taught about how racist?
But see, the thing is, imagine if you will, someone says, well, trans women are women, and you say no. So you're denying science there, and you think that's politics. That's not politics. That the politics comes when you try and introduce legislation. You try and oppress people. You try and deny equality, deny access to healthcare. That's when it becomes political. Because you ignore science. See what I mean?
America is in 2022.
That's because life is almost entirely political. I'm glad you've had the privilege of not ever realizing that because the integrity of your life has never been threatened by political actions, but that's not the same for minorities in the US or Europe. Palestinians in their own land, people who live in refugee camps, hell, any worker in the imperial periphery. It's ridiculous that I need to tell you that history, for example, is political. It's not an objective subject, likewise with plenty of science, depending on the form. It generally sounds to me like she heard one or two things in a few classes and then decided to leave because it was more ideologically comfortable. Also, at no point did she say what she studied, so all of this stuff may be highly relevant to her degree, who knows? She then complains some more about cancel culture and how you can't say anything anymore, which please define what that anything is, and go on.
Yeah.
She also mentions how some students could apparently get expelled for offending others, but when looking on...
Once again, I have to ask, what the fuck did they say? Because as far as I could tell, the only people I saw who were discriminated by students was a very hard homophobe. I mean, like, very hard. And the only other students I saw were students that were taking drugs that were expelled. They were not taking, selling. So, yeah. What were they saying is kind of important.
Online, I didn't find much aside from people being expelled for committing actual crimes like assault, or funnily enough, students getting suspended for pointing out racism, so the opposite of what she's claiming.
I was so sick of being forced to learn about this victimhood and forced into political discussions. Long story short, I left my old university, but not just university, I left the left, guys. Because most importantly, I value my freedom of speech.
She's essentially upset that she had to be present when discussing political topics that didn't immediately and 100% relate to her personal experience. The sign of a mature human being, clearly. The freedom of speech meme is just that. It's a meme. No one's preventing you from saying anything, and it clearly hasn't stopped you from running your channel in the way you do. Yeah, what can I say? That's the video. Typical whining without substance, but what can be done? Anyways, she's currently trying to do her Ben Shapiro light shtick in the UK by being pro-monarchy despite being American and claiming to champion true liberalism earlier in this video.
It's very funny for an American to go over to England and go, oh, the monarchy, the people, the founding fathers overthrew because they were saying taxation or representation. Because they had a monarchy, guys. You know, that was part of the reason they didn't want a monarch. Isn't it kind of interesting that America didn't just say, oh, hello, would you like to be our monarch after we overthrew you and fucked out of the fucking country because you were being fucking morons and you deserve to be, just have, everything taken from you. Oh, but now this one is like, I bet you now this one likes the founding fathers, but it's also contradictory. It's like, but the Queen was amazing. She definitely didn't oversee the murders of multiple people. No, ignore that. Ignore it, will you? She didn't pay off so her fucking family could be released from paedophile accusations. No. Don't you worry about that. Ignore all that information. That's not.
Make it make sense, I don't know. People like this are either grifting, as is her case, I believe, or generally just...
Wait. Reacting to... Okay, that's just some reaction videos there. Oh, my.
Someone to be patient when talking with them about these topics, something liberals are incapable of.
It's very funny, as I said, when people talk about Disney, you're like, yeah, Disney ain't woke, guys. It ain't woke. It's just it likes money.
Because they're emanating from an incorrect position to begin with.
You know?
It's all part of the agitate, educate, organize. In this case, focus on the educate bit. So yeah, that's it. If you enjoy what I do, then please consider supporting me on Patreon. It really does help. I'd like to thank my patrons, so thank you too. Eli the Bee, Srinivas Damadikari, Talia Benson, Wood Quartler, Unknown608, Alai Clemens, Matthias, ML, Andy Fout, Odis Wingsman, Copium Vopium, Mitchell Bowden, Caleb Cody, Crumbo, Conrad Piccolo, John Munger, Matsov, 10 Giz, Thomas Jackson, Amor Forrest, Metin, Gorbachev's Pizza Putt, Jojo, JP Tyndall, Nakai, Aspen, Enes Akinci, Lily Lolliot. Is that an L reference? Or Roscoe Juan, Idea Smith, and Zach Pip. Thanks for watching.
Well, thank you for watching as well. And I'll just say to you, goodbye. Goodbye.